Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, now with more raisins. Here's what's coming up. It's the Iowa soap opera, Don and Ted fighting tooth and nail. Then Sarah leaves Ted for Don, and the National Review refuses Don's advances. This is like Downton Abbey, but with crazy people. Bernie Sanders is gaining honor, and super top secret info was found on her private server, but Hillary Clinton's playing it cool until Lena Dunham drops her like a hot pocket. I don't know what that means. And later, my Lego friends explain the Iowa Caucus. And then we all go get buffalo wings. I love buffalo wings. Let's get started, America. It's my turn to shovel O'Reilly's driveway. Let's welcome tonight's guests. He's so tough, he uses a blowtorch to dry his hair. It's Pete Hegseth, Fox News contributor, an Iraq and Afghan war veteran. If being adorable were a crime, she'd face life in prison. It's Eboni K. Williams, legal analyst and Fox News contributor. He's sharp and funny like a wise-cracking switchblade. Comedian Andrew Schulz, you can see him on the MTV show Guy Code. Well, her liver thinks it's living in a hobo's body. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky. And finally, hating things is her yoga. National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. But first... It was a game of endorsement ping pong. Palin saying yes, National Review saying no, no, no. First, the Palin poetry slam that channeled an acid-drenched Aunt Bee.
Heads are spinning. Media heads are spinning. This is going to be so much fun. You farm families and teachers and teamsters and cops and cooks. You rock and rollers and holy rollers. And I got to say, yeah, I'll go, send me, you betcha. Some of their skirmishes that have been going on for centuries, where they're fighting each other and yelling Allah Akbar, calling jihad on each other's heads forever and ever. And can I get a hallelujah?
Trying to follow that noise is like trying to chase a drunk through an avalanche. So after spending years calling folks rhinos, a big-time Tea Party embraces the biggest rhino of all. I say hooray. I long for the death of ideology. Tests of purity are evil. But I'd feel gross if I spent years jeering people for not being a true conservative, then embracing a man who loves eminent domain, auto bailouts, TARP, tariffs, single-payer, deficits, Harry Reid, Charlie Crist, Hillary Clinton. That doesn't sound much like a Tea Partier. But when you're tired of losing, you'll toss your beliefs aside like bad clams all over your khakis. Unless you're National Review, who gathered a clan of conservatives to derail Donald, here's their spokesperson when asked if Trump would make a good president. Harry, little devil. Can we have the real one, please?
The point we're making, it's up to conservatives who think that Donald Trump, whatever his virtues are, doesn't truly understand the ideas and principles that make this country great. It's up to those conservatives to stand up and say, no, sorry, we oppose this guy.
So the issue is Trump's non-conservatism, to which I say, so what? It's not a big deal that Trump isn't conservative. It's that so many people claim he is. Just be honest and everyone gets along. For the blind love and hate for Trump are basically the same things. They're emotions that override intellect and camouflage hypocrisy. Here you have right-wingers who hang amnesty around Rubio's neck, but forget Trump's liberal transgressions. These are people who once put conservatism first, and they're now accusing others of putting conservatism first. I say have it both ways. Trump must run, but as a Democrat. It's the party he supported financially and one that reflects half his beliefs. And as a Democrat, he'd get more independents, more blacks, more Hispanics, more women. He'd actually unite a country and win. For what Trump has done is amazing. He exposed right-wing bomb throwers as all show. He's the greatest magician ever. He didn't pull a rabbit out of a hat. He pulled a rhino out of a grizzly. Painful.
Period.
I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go to Kat Timpf first because she works for National Review. How does it feel to be hated by the right-wing base?
Yeah, it's great. It's so great. I've been called a GOP establishment hack, which is crazy because I'm a libertarian and we always just end up voting for ourselves anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, you know, Trump has messed everything up with what anyone expected, and nobody knows what to do. because, Cruz was going to be the anti-establishment guy, and now Trump is anti-establishment-er, and Christie was going to be the rough and tough talker guy, and now he's rougher and tougher talker-er guy. So it's all just a mess. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. But yeah, a lot of people hate me, but that's okay because it's still attention. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's all that matters. And besides, you have a lot in common with them because you hate yourself too.
Yeah, it's how you improve.
Yes. Pete, welcome to the show for the first time. What do you make of this whole week? The National Review thing, the Sarah thing, whatever thing?
Whatever thing, yeah. I mean, the National Review, hey, they stuck by their principles. They said, hey, we're conservatives. We're going to be the conservative standard bearers. If only this was an election on a spectrum of conservatives and liberals. This is the insiders and the outsiders, the different from the inside, the establishment versus the rebels. The folks who like Trump don't like him because he's a conservative.
Yeah.
They like him because he's blowing everything up.
Yeah,
and so
true.
National Review's doing what National Review should do as standard bearers.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sarah Palin's like a moth to a flame here. She can't resist the ability to be in the center again.
That's a good metaphor because in a way, Trump is like the guy in that slow motion scene in the movies as he's walking out of a building and he throws that bomb and it just blows up behind him and it's flames and he walks and he's just like, again, then he gets
notice it.
He doesn't notice it. He just keeps walking.
Not even a bead of sweat.
Yeah, his hair just stands perfectly. Eboni, my theory, if Trump had run as a Democrat, he would win because then it would remove the stigma of blacks, Hispanics, and women voting for a Republican. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think he could still win, even as a Republican, just because, as Pete adequately pointed out, it's not about conservatism. These people that have the Trump base, it's not because he's reflecting conservative values. And then this question about, is Sarah Palin abandoning her conservative principles to support Trump? Well, Greg, I think she abandoned them the minute she quit her job as governor of Alaska, where she actually was in a place to affect change. So no surprise there for me. Of course, she's going to chase the guy who's the clear and visible frontrunner, the guy that's got all the limelight.
She took in the trailer to that shooting star.
Absolutely.
Andrew, good to see you. It's been a long time.
It has been too long. Good to see you.
Yeah. What do you make of this Republican race so far? You're a political mind. Some say a brilliant political mind.
I mean, many.
Yes.
Honestly, you know what? I think we have a difference in opinion, but that's totally fine. I think I'm really going to support whoever backs El Chapo.
Yeah.
I think that's really what I go for. He's a go-getter. I'm waiting for his extradition to America, and then he'll probably speak on behalf of Cruz, Rubio, maybe Trump. I don't know who it is, but I'm going with that direction.
You're a one-issue voter.
I'm a one-issue voter.
Yes.
Okay? And it's El Chapo.
Well, and El Chapo did call Donald Trump his amigo.
That is
Did he?
true.
Yes, in that interview. So I
means
think he's
friends.
leaning that way.
Yeah.
Donald Trump and Sean Penn are your two right there.
I don't like Sean Penn's face, but I also don't like Donald Trump's face.
Yeah, but
so it's a face thing for me. And Cruz.
You judge a book by its cover.
That's why they have.
I like Marco Rubio's face.
You like Rubio's face.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, are you turning this into a pageant? What, what is going on right now?
Okay,
That's
That's how I make my vote.
But doesn't Cruz look a little like the seagull from The Little Mermaid?
Oh, my gosh.
Doesn't he not?
Yes.
Like if you gave him a fork, he'd be like, oh, it's a comb, and he'd like teach you how to do hair.
No, that's far too cute.
That's
By the way,
is far
what are you doing watching The Little Mermaid? Don't answer that. I want to. That's where I get my analogy. Yeah, I'm like thinking I don't even know what The Little Mermaid is. I thought it was a disorder, but anyway, Joanne. Okay, do you think that there's a lot of this? Okay, look at the National Review response. My feeling is the reason why they're angry. It's everybody has the same feeling. I call it the line cutter theory. When you sense somebody is cutting in line, it doesn't matter where. It could be a comedian that gets a better time than you, and you hate him for that because he cut in line, or it could be somebody who gets promoted before you. Any of that stuff. A line cutter pisses you off, and I think that conservatives are pissed off at Trump because he cut in line. You know what he did? He jumped the fence. Yeah. He came across the Rio Grande without paying his dues as a conservative.
Yeah, it's not the way things are supposed to be done.
Right.
It's like Donald Trump is a lasagna. Okay? There are lots of different ways to make a lasagna. But just because it's not your grandmother's old recipe that you always eat, it doesn't mean it's going to ruin your dinner. And stop it with the faux gluten allergy. You're not going to stop eating Italian if that lasagna's on the table. It's too much.
Also picking up on that lasagna metaphor, he's got layers. Conservative, liberal point of view, I like this.
But you can't have a bowl of cereal and call it lasagna. So it's got to have some noodles and some sauce and some cheese,
The thing
right?
is, he's
and so
got some
conservatives are saying
vegetables in
you
there
don't
that people
really
don't
have
like.
as as many of the basic principles of conservatism that we want, like less government, like more freedom, things like that. That's the concern. That's what National Review is.
Beforehand? This is
no,
amazing.
But I think we got to think
working on this lasagna.
I like it.
I'm really
Maybe I'm
hungry.
hungry. I was going to say, I think I'm hungry.
Is there cheese there?
It is interesting, though. It's like he's showing up at a bake-off with a lasagna, and then when he wins, he pulls it back, and it's a bowl of cereal. I do think you're going to find out that he's not a conservative, but nobody's going to care because he won, and everybody on the right is so tired of losing.
Right.
They're losing their principles and saying, you know what, so what? Maybe he's our guy, but he is a big government guy. He's a corporatist. He's for tariffs.
It's interesting you talk about this line jumping theory, and I think you're spot on. I think on the left, it's the same. Hillary Clinton, was really in her feelings when Barack Obama super jumped line. Right?
Yes.
Came out of nowhere.
Yes, he cut in line.
Totally. And he was rewarded big time
Didn't
for
Hillary
it.
jump the line?
Yes.
She married Bill.
Hillary.
That's jumping the line.
Is the line.
She was in the Senate for like 2 years.
2 years longer, though, than Barack Obama was at the time.
And if you wait in line, they accuse you of being establishment.
That's right.
Stop waiting in line. Just go for it.
Well, Rubio didn't wait in line, and neither did Cruz. I mean, it's not necessarily just lying. You know what? But conservatives like Trump because partly because he loves America.
Yeah.
He talks about loving America, and we've been under a regime, a president for the last 7 years who doesn't.
Very negative.
Yeah,
Who
so
believes
they're
that
willing
we're a
to skip
problem.
a lot of the other things.
He sees us as
correctness. I'm for him.
Trump sees America as a solution. Obama has seen America as a problem for the world because of the wars, and he thinks that we have to look inward. And Trump is now saying it's time to look outward. It is the pendulum. It's a pendulum.
Yeah.
Barbara Bush had this to say about the campaigns.
Jeb has been a very good father, a wonderful son, a hard worker. His heart is big. When push comes to shove, people are going to realize Jeb has real solutions rather than talking about how popular they are, how great they are. He's doing it because he sees a huge need and it's not being filled by anybody. Of all the people running, he seems to be the one who could solve the problems. I think he'll be a great president.
Joanne, there was a dig in there for Trump. She said about the popular guy and that it's not always the popular guy. And she said that her son seems to be.
You know when you get into a fight in high school or like in grammar school and your mother has to come and like sort it out, make the two boys talk to each other, work out their problems. This wasn't an endorsement so much as it was her just trying to, I don't know, pat her son on the back and tell him it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
How bad is it for Jeb Bush when you toss to a sound of Jeb Bush and it feels like a non sequitur?
Yeah.
In the presidential election in January.
I've said this before. It's a bad time for good men.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? It's a bad time for good men.
We like the bad boys, right, Eboni?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Trump responded to National Review, Kat. He called it a dying paper. But to be fair, aren't we all dying?
Well, it's a magazine. We are all dying. I think about that quite a bit. But, the thing is, that's so typical Trump, right? He didn't address any of the issues that were presented, the arguments of saying, hey, he's not a conservative, let's talk about this issue. He just said, your paper's a loser.
Yeah,
Totally deflected it.
He destroyed you. He destroyed you, Kat. Your career is over.
I'd love to think he thought about me at all, but I don't think he does.
I think he does. If you're a girl, he's thinking about you.
Oh, God.
All right, up next are Hillary Clinton's emails, now like her husband's females. They just won't go away. We discuss even more damaging discoveries from her private home server up next.
Gouging.
She treats classified info the way her husband treats a nympho. I don't know what that means, but it rhymed, and I'm a sucker for rhymes. It made no sense at all, America. Hillary Clinton is dismissing this week's reported discovery that some emails on her home server contained info even more sensitive than top secret. This info was SAP, which is short for Special Access Program, meaning you're in the loop because you need to know. And if this stuff gets out, covers could be blown. Intel could be lost, and people could get hurt. The discovery was described by an inspector general for the intelligence community in a letter to lawmakers. Here's Hillary Clinton's response. Warning, it's predictable.
This seems to me to be another effort to inject this into the campaign. It's another leak. I'm just going to leave it up to the professionals at the Justice Department, because nothing that this says changes the fact that I never sent or received material marked classified.
I say hang her. Head in shame. Hey, Pete served in the military. She's so lax about sensitive information. That's got to be a concern for somebody like you who risks his life, like me.
Yeah, I'm just every day
I risk my, I'm a lot like you.
Those lights are hot.
They really are. This is a lot like Afghanistan and Iraq.
The
for
makeup
me.
can run. I mean,
Yes. No. This makeup don't run.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was just a dumb infantryman, so I didn't do the intel work, but we relied upon it. And I'm telling you, this classification above top secret, it is human intelligence for active operations, and that means if you're using a home-cooked server and people are able to spy on it, you've got actual human beings in the field doing operations who they now know about it.
Right.
That endangers lives. And this whole BS around it wasn't classified at the time, anyone, including just an infantryman, knows that it doesn't matter what it says, what the stamp is on the top of the sheet. What matters is what's in it. And she's known well enough that there's stuff above that.
I know, Eboni. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say the average voter doesn't care. They hear email and they go, oh, I have email. I send email all the time. I get spam email. They imagine the emails are like these confidential stuff, or like recipes from their aunt about, casserole or lasagna.
Lasagna.
Thank you.
Actually, Greg, no, that's not what I was going to say.
I was trying to put words into your mouth,
Tell
Eboni.
us more, Greg.
Yes.
No, you know what the biggest problem here is? The micro is exactly what Pete said. The macro, though, you're running as the experienced candidate who's been there and done it before and can do it again. But if, generally speaking, it's at least arguable that you did it terribly the first time around, it's really not a catching narrative. It's really going to work against her. We get that you got the, quote, experience, but what's the value of it?
Yeah.
You're putting people at risk. Yeah.
Andrew, she's getting desperate because she's painting, her allies are painting Sanders as a racist because he doesn't have any black people in his ad.
He's from Vermont.
You straight? Yeah.
Are there black people in Vermont?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
sure?
Andrew. I am
There's 3
certain.
black people in Vermont.
No, it's the black family.
There's
they're
one
white,
black family.
but they're the black family. They're blacks.
We occupy space everywhere.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I thought you strike me as a Sanders guy.
I do like, you know what it is? I want 2 presidents.
Right.
I want a president for America, which is Sanders, because he cares about the people. He wants to give everybody college and health care and all these lovely things. Exactly. And then I want another president for the world, because, the global politics is like the prison yard.
Yeah.
It's like, you take my guys, I have to blow you up, so you know not to take my guys. So I don't think Sanders is going to negotiate like a hostage situation. Well, he's just going to be like, well, you have health care.
Yeah. You need to have a Jekyll and a Hyde.
I really believe that. You need a. I mean, look, you've been out there in the field, but it's a different ball game across the sea. You can't. I don't know. I guess.
I don't know that our men and women in youth can be motivated by a Commander-in-Chief Sanders.
Yeah.
Go get him, guys.
Colonel.
Look out
We just
for
gotta call
climate
him
change.
Colonel.
Colonel Sanders. Very good.
I like it.
Joanne, everybody was so focused on the GOP spectacle because it's exciting that we're not actually paying attention to something that is perhaps a larger story.
Well, yeah, I've said before, if Trump were in those emails, if his name were in her emails, people would definitely pay more attention to it. But she is just proving, again, that if she is not lying, which she says she's not, then she's just inept.
Yeah.
She is not capable of doing this job. And we have to remember, people have been criticizing Obama for abusing his authority, which is essentially what Hillary is continuing to do with these emails. We are seeing it time and time again. Why wouldn't she continue to do that in the White House?
What's in the email? Does anybody know?
Well, we won't know
of
because
classified stuff.
A lot of classified stuff,
like
and she
what?
still hasn't even released them all. She's actually asking for another month.
There's a lot of stuff of Bill in a leather garment.
Is it nudes? I was wondering.
No, the shocking thing is he's fully clothed.
He's clothed.
I used that joke on the 5 2 days ago and nobody laughed. I said that shocking emails of Bill Clinton fully clothed. And everybody stared at me like, that didn't work. And I go, you know what? Because you didn't get the damn joke.
I think this shows Hillary's age. Because if she was smarter, she would just use Snapchat. That's how we share nudes now.
That's
right?
true.
Snapchat, right, Joe? Huh?
Not a part of this.
Hey, Kat.
Move on over.
Kat, does it?
What? No, just by
definitely
myself.
not.
Kat, you're seeing some kind of reverberations or rumblings among the feminists that maybe Hillary isn't the best choice. Are they going to just vote for her anyway?
Yeah, probably. They
right.
probably will. And it's really, really, really sad because I don't even understand why she's not in jail, right? Stephen Avery went to jail for a rape he didn't commit. For some reason, she's not in jail because of her privilege. The Clinton machine is just so powerful, right? Because even if she didn't technically break a law, she clearly doesn't care about national security, and that should disqualify her. She shouldn't be able to run as a feminist when she actively ruined other women's lives. But that's okay too. Everyone just kind of looks past everything. I don't know if she has a mind control thing going on, because that's really the only thing I could think of, the fact that she can just get away with everything.
She probably made you say that. All right, up next, the rules of the pool. No running, no diving into the shallow end, and no assaulting women. Is this how Germany's getting its migrants to assimilate? The answer is probably yes. It's a class for the misogynist ass. 5-hour instructional courses have been set up in Norway since 2011 to teach refugees, quote, a kiss is not a yes to sex. The program was launched following a number of sexual crimes committed near an asylum center. Meanwhile, there's a comic book style poster detailing rules at a public swimming pool in southern Germany. The drawings were translated to several languages, including Arabic and Somali. Turns out some women have complained about harassment by migrants. So they decided that posters were the answer because, well, the world is going to hell. I anxiously await the dioramas teaching us not to skin cats. All right, I don't know where to go with this. Eboni, it's a start, I guess.
I know it looks outrageous. I know it looks outrageous, but I actually think this is a good thing. Here's the only reason why. Because, look, if you're going to have these people come over, they have different customs where they're from.
These aren't customs.
No. I mean,
these are crimes.
Or whatever. But no, but there it's not, though.
That's great. Then they should be told to not come here.
Okay. So here's the thing. As somebody who, look, whatever works.
Yeah.
If this helps mitigate the problem, then by golly, put the cartoons up. We got cartoons on our subway. Same thing, whatever.
I know. Those cartoons.
To keep the man spread from happening, which this is man spread, by the way.
We're being shamed for having male parts.
Yeah, man spreading.
I should be able to spread all I want.
Man spreading is not assaulting women.
Don't look at it.
Pete, is this something that could happen here?
Look me in the eyes. Why don't we get to say that? Don't look me here. Look me in the eyes. I'm a human being.
Is that something that could happen here? I saw that poster hanging in the hallway for your show.
Oh, terrible.
No, here's what it is. In the Middle East, women are seen as inferior. From many traditional forms of Islam, if you're a non-Muslim, you're an infidel. So these are inferior infidels that these Muslim men are seeing, and they're saying anything I want to touch is mine to touch. And it's being but it's also being in some mosques and other places encouraged to say hold on to the beliefs that you have. You're a traditionalist. Don't assimilate. It doesn't mean playing, touchy, but this is a problem of mass immigration into an environment that is utterly unprepared.
They're not prepared for it. Can I go to Kat first because her head's going to explode?
I'm getting angry.
Get angry.
I'm getting angry. No. They don't need classes. I don't care what it's like in their country. I saw something in the New York Times that said, oh, but only prostitutes would dress like the bathing suits that we see. But you know what? They also know that everyone is dressed like that and nobody else is grabbing them. So use some context clues, right? They know they're not supposed to be doing it. Context clues dictate that it's different here. They don't care, and that's obvious that they don't care. The signs aren't going to change anything.
I know. Andrew, I don't think a sign ever changed you.
No.
No, you're still Andrew.
I'm still me.
Yeah.
Every side.
Although that Ace of Base song you do really like.
I saw the sun.
Yeah.
All right. Try to focus on this outrageous story.
This is exactly what happens in spring break. They're just not accustomed to seeing this in one place and going, oh, you can't do it somewhere else. So I think the classes are a great idea. Because maybe they're trying to assimilate. Maybe they're looking at people and going,
I have no problem with the posters because they are directed at the men and not at the women.
Yeah.
It's not posters saying women cover up.
Dress like this.
Women don't provoke the men.
That's coming, by the way. That's
some
the next
leaders
step.
have already said, well, women need to be more careful when they go out in public. No. So at least you're trying to tackle the problem, which is these men.
But where's the American feminist? Where is the American feminist?
why can't we teach them our culture or the culture of the new place? Why is that wrong?
All right, I want to get into this story. It happened at Kent State. Associate professor there is now under investigation by the FBI because of possible ties to ISIS. Julio Cesar Pino has allegedly tried to recruit students to join the terrorist group. He's been under investigation for a year and a half. He denies any connection to ISIS, although he does admit to being
fulfill my duties as an American citizen by speaking out on issues which some people find controversial, of course. But no, I have not violated any U.S. laws that I'm aware of or that anyone has informed me.
He's still teaching classes.
Well, come on. This is the left, after all, right? Because we're all multicultural and accepting and diverse, and he, of course, checks a lot of those boxes. And so even if he says just a few radical things, maybe he recruits a few people that get motivated to be a little bit more, hey, that's acceptable because this is academia. If you're a conservative doing that, well, that's another story.
Yeah, you know what, Ebony, maybe this isn't an innovative way to get extra credit. Like maybe you get exempt from the final if you behead someone.
I hope that is not their grading scale. Look,
Okay.
I mean, I guess the criminal defense lawyer in me says, you know, we do have due process for that reason. Certainly, if this guy is found to be guilty of recruiting or any jihadist nonsense, you know, off with his head. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, from the stuff I read, just fire him.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't he have a post that just said, like, death to Israel, and then another post where he had a eulogy for a Palestinian suicide bomb? Like, isn't that enough to you just fire
It's
him?
on campus.
This is today.
I just don't understand. You can, and then just fire him. I don't get it. Fire him. That's it. Let him sue the school and call you a racist
He's
or
tenured,
whatever.
is the thing. He's tenured.
So
It's
then
not as easy to
untenure
just
him.
fire him. And that's the thing. I don't.
You can't.
I
You
don't
can impeach a president. You can't.
I don't trust professors who are passionate and they're tenured. Like passionate, tenured professors. No, just do a syllabus. You follow the same one every year. You collect your paycheck, and you know, you sit pretty.
Well, I don't even like tenure anyway, but that's all.
Yeah, no, tenure is.
for lazy
Tenure is
people.
basically telling you don't have to try hard anymore,
Exactly.
and you can just be a complete idiot. Kat, you seem like the type that might be vulnerable to an ISIS recruiter.
I mean, I do like it when people like me and make an effort to reach out. But, you know, this guy, he said he has no connection to ISIS.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. What better screening system could there possibly be than that?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's probably okay.
Yeah, that's how we do the visa system, too.
I know, I know.
Terrorists, no terrorists.
Or do you plan to bomb everyone?
Yeah.
No, come on in.
You know what?
It's foolproof.
Just another example of political correctness run amok. Thank you. I had to work that into the show.
Got to do it.
Yeah, you have to. It's in the contract. Check. You have to say that. Political correctness.
Not when Trump's president.
No, then it all changes. It all changes. ISIS, we're gonna kick that ass. Don't go anywhere. Still to come. Why is an Oregon college holding a Whiteness History Month? We'll discuss it in TV's first 80-hour uninterrupted segment. You're putting us on, Oregon. The month of April at Portland Community College will be devoted to something called Whiteness History Month. Officials say the program will, quote, examine race and racism through an exploration of the construction of whiteness, its origins and heritage. It is not a celebratory endeavor. Of course. Why would it be? White guys, they're gross. They're so white. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, which I believe is close to Oregon, officials at Susquehanna, who cares, University, are searching for a replacement for its Crusader mascot and nickname. This after the school concluded, quote, critics of the term Crusader feel that connotations of the word related to the medieval Crusaders who used violence in the name of religion are at odds with the university's increasing diversity and its commitment to embracing and respecting difference. That's a lot of That's all I can say. Andrew?
Yeah.
You are a racist, so you must enjoy and adore Whiteness Month.
Love it.
Do you have any plans?
For Whiteness Month?
Yes.
I'm just taking the whole month off. I'm going to hail some cabs.
Right.
You know, just walk around, be powerful. No, I hate this idea. This is what we need to stop. I hate this idea that there's like a white culture. That needs to stop immediately.
We have no culture.
There's no such thing as white culture, okay?
We have that.
Irish.
We steal from everybody.
Well, first of all, everybody steals from everybody. Don't even get me started with that. But like white culture, there's no white culture. There's Irish, there's Italian, I always hear this thing, well, there's a BET, what about a white entertainment television? You can have Irish entertainment television.
Yes.
You can have Russian entertainment. You can have Ukrainian entertainment television. But there is no, white people don't like each other. We need to get that across. Irish people don't like Italians. White people in the South don't like Yankees in the North. No white people get along. Okay?
There should be a show called Ukraine.
Ukraine.
So it just drives me crazy, this thing.
No, it's actually a good point. It's almost racist to just call everybody white. Eboni, do you agree?
Oh my God, my head hurts. I actually disagree, Andrew.
With what?
With everything. No, just
Is it Whiteness Month? Because I can just deny that.
I'm all for Whiteness Month, actually.
Yeah.
It's real talk, because you know what? One of my majors in undergrad was Black Studies, and I'm all about subscribing to race as a social construction. You know, so I actually, yes, I actually do feel like there was something to be said for experiencing reality through the lens of your white identity, because it's not about what you think, it's about how people perceive you.
But your blackness is not defined by an overarching theme throughout the world.
It's not
American.
singular.
It's American black.
That's
black
one lens.
culture.
That's one lens, right? But in Africa, they have a certain lens in which they see blackness too.
The definition of identity has changed so much, I think, largely in part because young people are giving up their religion. And you're seeing people used to have Catholic guilt, Jewish guilt. There were those ways that you could relate to other people and feel badly because you grew up in that sort of culture, that construct. So we are now replacing that sort of religious guilt with white shaming, you know, with white privilege.
And that's what I don't like. People shouldn't have to feel ashamed to be who they are.
Yeah, I think you should be proud to be white.
Be super proud.
Kidding.
I'm very proud to be black.
But that's right. But hey, first gender was a social construct. Now race is a social construct. I mean, that means I'm a black female if I want to be a black female.
Well, I mean, we would embrace
you would be
Pete.
delicious.
That's fine.
But just the ends of absurdity never stop.
But it's not, though, right? Because it's based upon how people perceive you. And if most people look, because you know who's really facing this? Multiracial people. This is happening more and more and more. And they have one black parent or one Asian parent or what have you, whatever that combination is. And what matters is not what the makeup is. It's how the world sees
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, Kat, because you cover this a lot at National Review. I see the next step in a way of micro-identity, meaning, you know, if Sean King and Rachel Dolezal can self-identify as a race, why stop there? Why can't I choose a specific person? Like, what if I decide that I'm Will Smith? Why can't I do that? Why can't I just say, like, okay, I'm not just a black man, but I'm a black man named Will Smith who is a non-award-winning actor?
He won once.
I think some people would be okay with it and others wouldn't be okay with it. I think there are some people that are always going to be mad no matter what you do. Portland thinks it's great with all this, privilege checking stuff going on. But I wrote a piece yesterday about an op-ed a student wrote for the UC Berkeley paper saying that privilege checking is actually also offensive because white, straight, male people, when they check their privilege, all that happens is they feel so lucky to have so much privilege and sleep better at night knowing that they're better than other people and other people are suffering. So at this point, everyone's going to be offended no matter what. I would say if you want to identify as whatever you just said that I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot too.
I wouldn't really be that interested in that. But I'm sure you'd find someone on Tumblr who'd respect you very much.
Can I touch on anybody care about the Crusader?
No, not at all.
No.
But can we touch on this identifying whoever you want to identify? If that's the case, why doesn't Jared Fogle just say that he identifies as a teenager?
Yeah, no, but that's.
Or he identifies as Canadian because it's 16 and up in Canada.
Because he's not perceived that way by other people. See what I'm saying? You're looking at it from the flip side.
Okay, Caitlyn isn't perceived by anybody as a woman.
I thought it was a woman. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't think it was a woman.
We allow that. That's what I'm saying. It's just
that's not a social
I'm okay if you want to decide who you want to be. That's totally fine. But
all right, I'm going to be Andrew Schulz.
You are Andrew Schulz.
I am Andrew Schulz.
Okay.
And I'm going to commit a lot of crimes under your name. I'm Andrew Schulz.
There it is.
Yeah.
My frustration: the left is obsessed with race. Why are we always trying to see more race as opposed to trying to find a way to see past it?
But that's not, though. I don't want to. Look, I love you to death. I don't want to live in a world where I have to be forced or even made feel
no one
pressure
should be forced to be anything
past my race.
Or see something. But why are we continually always all these things just drive more differences as opposed to America's always been about.
But you know what? It's because we're irresponsible in the way we acknowledge our differences, Pete. That it's a problem.
We should be able to talk about race in a number of different levels.
Like the lasagna.
Yeah, exactly.
We should be able to talk about culture. The idea of race is silly. We should talk about culture.
Culture.
That's if you just you can judge someone's culture.
But you just said black culture.
We got to go because we got to talk about the Oscars.
About culture.
All right, we got to move on. Coming up, let's do this. Do the Academy Awards have a diversity problem, or does diversity have an Academy Awards problem? It writes itself. Will Smith finally came out against the Academy Awards. This after his wife Jada Pinkett Smith and director Spike Lee announced their plans to boycott the Oscars. Here's Smith on GMA.
I have to protect and fight for the ideals that make our country and make our Hollywood community great. And so when I look at the series of nominations of the Academy, it's not reflecting that beauty.
For the second straight year, no black actors were nominated in the 4 acting categories, including Smith, who some thought would get nominated for his role in Concussion. Meanwhile, Oscar nominee Charlotte Rampling called the boycott racist against whites, and Oscar nominee Michael Caine, who I believe is white, added, quote, "You can't vote for an actor because he's black." So the story has now achieved what's called Charlotte Rampling singularity, meaning every person on the planet has commented on it, including Charlotte Rampling. All right, let's go around the horn on this one. I'm going to start with, surprise, surprise, Eboni. Is Will Smith just upset he's not nominated?
Yeah, I was going to say, I appreciate the message. Wrong messenger.
Yeah.
Will Smith, quite frankly, I saw Concussion. It was all right. His accent was terrible.
Oh, yes.
And here's the thing. He's been nominated twice before. So you can't, just because the one time you feel like you were snubbed, be all upset. And guess what? He lost both times to another black actor.
There you go. That's what it is. He hates black people. No, Pete, thoughts?
Well, isn't the head of the Academy Awards a black female?
She is.
Yeah.
She is. So is she racist?
No, she came out. She made a statement just yesterday.
She did, but,
saying that, they plan to at least diversify the body of the Academy, which I think is where the answer is, right? It's not about nominating someone because they're black. That's silly. That actually undermines the credibility of the award.
Camille Foster said today on Fox and Friends that the percentage of nominations since 2000 is actually higher than the percentage of blacks in America, which I didn't know about. That's a good fact.
Yeah, it is a good fact.
Thank you.
Those facts.
It was on your show.
It was. I was listening from
Andrew?
Yes.
Oscars?
I just think you're blaming the wrong person.
Who should we blame?
You just blame Hollywood. I don't think film is diverse enough, and I would prefer if I got into some films before you diversified it, but that's fine. But I don't think it is. I don't think film is diverse enough, and you basically can't blame the Oscars because Oscars doesn't cast film. It's like if I blame the All-Star Game for not having enough white people in it. Did you?
Yeah, the NBA All-Stars is nothing but tall guys.
Exactly. You just blame the teams.
Yes.
I guess, but I wouldn't want that. I just want the best player. But I think if you diversify Hollywood, you will see a trickle-down effect.
Always trickling. Joanne?
I would like to say Academy and Hollywood directors are doing a great job, and I look forward to working with you. It's funny when Will Smith says Hollywood community values.
Yeah,
right. Is there such a thing? I mean, I think that Hollywood, the color that Hollywood really sees is green.
Sure.
All of these people have amazing paychecks. They're all very privileged, and it's wonderful, and I look forward to joining their inner circle.
It's got to be hard to, it's a bit hypocritical on Will Smith's part. He talks about the race element, but remember, if you're gay in Hollywood, you have to stay in the closet.
Yep.
And you can't come out. Look what happened to Rupert Everett. All of his roles dried up when they found out he was gay. And so big actors, big married actors have to stay in the closet.
Yeah.
Cat thoughts.
That was subtle.
I just feel really bad for all of these people. They're rich and famous, and they have to go to stuff like the Oscars. Times are tough, right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares about the Oscars except for those people, really. I mean, if you win, I don't care who wins. I care how well my tweets do when I'm watching it. None of this really matters.
That's how everybody feels, too.
Yeah.
Their tweets are more important. The one thing, Eboni, to your point, I think I'm glad that Concussion didn't get nominated because it's a movie that was created specifically as Oscar fodder.
Yeah.
Serious issue. It's a contemporary issue, and the accent. You gotta have the accent.
It was so bad.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I saw the coming attraction and go Oscar. Don't go anywhere. Up next. Confused about exactly what happens at the Iowa caucus. We've got the caucus video to end all caucus videos. Finally tonight, we're not on next weekend because I'll be in Iowa for the Iowa caucuses. But since I have no idea how a caucus works, I asked Joanne to make a video using simple words and images that even my tiny little brain could understand. Roll tape rollers.
The Iowa caucuses start with voters gathering in local meeting spots like a hot tub or a gymnasium. Sometimes representatives give a speech to convince you to abandon the candidate you came to support. For Republicans, it's simple. You vote using a secret ballot. Votes are counted and announced publicly and added to the statewide tally. Pretty easy. And you're home in time to watch The West Wing.
Oh, cool. Martin Sheen rocks.
For the Democrats, it's like a bloody battle royale. Okay, maybe not that violent. First, caucus goers break up into groups depending on who they support. Think of it like the corners of your high school cafeteria. You've got jocks, dorks, goths, goth jocks, jock dorks, dork goths, whatever. Any candidate without enough support is deemed unviable, aka a loser. Sorry, Marty, this will probably be you. But the good news for Bernie and Hillary, those voters are now up for grabs like a free sample at Costco. They have the option to switch teams, and this is where you get a chance to convince your neighbors to support your candidate instead. If you're hot, this will be easy.
Hey, big boy, want to go to college for free?
Another way to win people over is to tempt them with cookies.
Yeah, cookies!
Once people change sides, a new count is taken. Viable candidates win their share of those all-important delegates and take one step closer to the White House.
That was enlightening, Joanne. Thank you so much. Okay, we gotta go. Pete, great job. Eboni, awesome. Andrew, fantastic. Joanne, yeah, I'm kidding. And Katherine, always a pleasure. So we're back Saturday, February 6th. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.